Hey guys, welcome back to Popcorn and Champagne.
We are so excited today because we have Judge Sheila Calloway in the building.
Woo, woo, woo,
oh my
woo.
gosh. Okay, but before we talk to her, let us tell you a few things about her. Judge Sheila Calloway is a native of Louisville, Kentucky, and she came to Nashville, Tennessee in 1987 to attend Vanderbilt University Law School, where she received a Bachelor of Arts degree in communications, of course, I can tell. And in her Doctor of Jurisprudence in 1994.
And after graduating from law school, Sheila worked at the Metropolitan Defender's Office in the adult system as well as the juvenile system, where she currently is now.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, you were appointed by Judge Betty Adams Green to the position of Juvenile Court Magistrate. You've served in this position until November 2013.
Yes.
Listen, you are a rock star to us,
Thank you.
okay?
And also, Judge Sheila Calloway was elected Davidson County Juvenile Court Judge in 2014 and was sworn into office for an 8-year term on August 28th in 2014.
Right.
And she's reelected for another 8-year term in August of 2022. So you're just gonna be here forever, right?
Just forever.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You also serve as an adjunct professor at Vanderbilt University Law School, and you teach trial advocacy.
Yes.
And more importantly,
Oh boy, here we go.
this is all good about
Should we do Belmont?
this. No. This is all good about Judge Sheila. She is hilarious, number one, but she's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Welcome.
That's all.
Tiffany's a Delta. Anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm
We
excited.
are
about
so
this.
excited for you being here. And let me tell you, one of the reasons why you're here today is because Tiffany and I have been watching this documentary called Justice USA. And it is filmed in Nashville. It's a 7-month process. It talked about the court system here, juvenile court system, adult court system, and it had a lot of people that were in the particular documentary that had been on the news. And you were very instrumental in this documentary. Tell us how it all got started.
So, literally, the producer, Marshall Goldberg, reached out to Sheriff Hall, I believe, first, and asked him if he would be interested in allowing them to come and film and talk to some people who had been arrested. Marshall Goldberg was an attorney way back when, and then he became a producer, writer, and has done a lot of different things. And this has been something that's been in his heart for years. And what he said was that he looked at different other jurisdictions and other states to try and do this documentary, and did not get very many people to say yes or to agree upon it. And then I think Sheriff Hall said, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then from there, he included, the district attorney, the public defender, judges, and we all agreed to participate.
And nothing's really, Nashville has not been spotlighted like this. And I think this was what makes it so unique, is that we do see another side of our city, and it's not so positive. It's a 6 episodes.
6 episodes
on HBO
and it's
Max.
Beautifully done.
It is
production
wonderfully
is
done.
amazing.
It was produced by Common.
He was one of the producers,
He
right?
was one of the
Yeah.
producers, yes.
So yeah, we've just enjoyed it. I mean, it's very sad to watch.
Yes.
But we have some questions towards you and your role in this documentary. You did a great job. It was like you didn't even look at the cameras, like
Yeah.
it wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Like you just went on about your natural
Was that
day.
hard?
It was hard. Like there's one scene where I'm getting out of the car and I forget that they told me, oh yeah, when you get to work, we'll be filming you getting out of the car. I'm like, oh, okay. And they literally filmed me getting out of the car and I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah,
good morning.
that
How
is
is
so
everybody? And so it wasn't something that you expect.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity for them to follow me in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Literally to church
Yeah.
and
wow.
to a Titans game.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show you the human side
Just
of
try
it.
the human side of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to do is just talk to you about a couple of episodes that Tony and I just couldn't stop talking about.
Yeah. So I know that like the position that you have
Yeah.
is very important, and you have the fate of people in your hands. Children, juveniles in your hands.
That's right.
The episode for me that was kind of a lot was the episode of Diamond, what's her last name? Lewis. Talk about that. We all know Diamond was involved with the robbery, and there was a country music singer here in Nashville, and she didn't necessarily pull the gun. All they wanted to do was really just rob him and get something to eat, right? So she was with some people that shot him.
Yeah.
She's down there with you, and then it was time for her to go to another level. Talk about that.
Yeah. So Diamond was one of those difficult cases where I have to make a determination of whether a child should be tried in the adult system or whether they can remain in the juvenile system. And, in that situation, as you saw in the documentary, Diamond was one of the older ones that was a part of this group. And in our criminal system, we have a charge that's called felony murder. And so if you're involved in a felony and someone dies because of that felony charge, then you can be charged with murder, whether you pulled the trigger or not. And so, a group
So it's
of
guilty
people,
by association.
It's guilty by association.
Pick your friends wisely.
Pick your friends wisely. So if a group of people literally are deciding that they want to steal a car, and they go and they steal the car, and in the incident something happens, someone dies, whether it's a heart attack or someone gets accidentally shot, that's felony murder for everyone that was involved in that offense.
Goodness.
And so in the state of Tennessee, that carries a life sentence. And a life sentence is literally 51 calendar years before you are eligible for parole. And so you have to serve 51 years.
Wow.
And so when a youth commits an offense such as that, it's extremely difficult on someone like me to make that determination. Because if I allow them to remain in the juvenile system, what I'm making a determination is that they can be treated and rehabilitated in the amount of time that we think is appropriate. And so for us, we can only keep children in our system until they turn 19.
Okay.
And so if you have an older youth or 16 to 17-year-old that has committed a very serious charge, there's not very many treatment and rehabilitation services that we have that they can become a better citizen within a 2 to 3 year period. But then the extreme is they're either going to get 2 to 3 years or they're going to get 51 calendar years. And there's nothing really in between. And so it really is difficult for all of us judges across the state to make that determination. But you have to, there's statutory requirements that we have to look at. Whether they've been in trouble before, whether there's efforts to give them treatment rehabilitation, whether it was part of a gang offense, whether it was premeditated. All of those things are things that we have to look at when we determine whether or not they should be tried as
So
adults.
in Diamond's case, she turned 18, and
on the day of her birthday.
On the day of her birthday, she gets transferred. So if you decided and you ruled that you didn't want her to be transferred, if they turn 18 or 19, they still have to go to the criminal justice to finish their sentence. Just say, for instance, if you said, I'm going to give her 5 years. If she goes past the age 19, does she stay in juvie?
So
as a grown woman?
I wish we could have done something like that.
Okay.
Because I would have much rather said this was a very serious offense, but she doesn't need to serve 51 years. Maybe she can serve 5 years.
That's
I would have loved to do that.
Right.
Our law does not allow us to do that.
Okay.
So I have one choice, whether she's, or two choices.
Okay.
Stay in juvenile or go to the adult system.
Okay.
Had I decided that she would not be tried as an adult, she would have gone into the Department of Children's Services custody.
Okay.
And so that's like when we sentence a child, they go to DCS custody, Department of Children's Services custody, and it's up to the department to find a placement for her, in a place where she can get treatment and rehabilitation.
I see.
And it cannot be an adult facility.
Okay.
But they do have placements where they can hold them until they turn 19 years old. But once they're 19, they're gone. When I became the judge in 2014, I decided that youth who were being tried as adults should not have to, their physical body should not go into the adult system until they become adults.
Okay.
And so me and Sheriff Hall talked along with the public defender and the district attorney about the possibility of holding the youth who are being transferred to the adult system in my detention facility until their case can be heard as an adult system or until they became adults. And for me, that was such a much better alternative because and it was a much better alternative for Sheriff as well, Sheriff Hall, because the federal guidelines require any youth that is in an adult facility, they have to be kept sight and sound separate from any adults.
Okay.
And so for what that meant for Sheriff Hall is that he would have to find a place, and it was back in the old jail in the basement where the youth were being held until they became 18, and then they go up to the regular floors. And if you know anything about the old jail and the status that it was in, while we have a new facility now, it was really bad. It was bad for our youth, and so it was a good decision, I think, for us to keep youth in our facility until they turn 18.
Yeah.
And so what happens, and that's what you saw when Diamond turned 18, the decision to transfer her had already been made.
Well, I kind of felt sorry for Diamond. I really did, because she came from such a broken family. Her dad was in jail. Her mom has been in jail. Her brother died. She had another brother in jail. All she had was really her grandmother, right? So I really felt bad for her, because it's like you are a victim of your circumstances.
That's right.
I mean, it's like a vicious cycle, you know. So I really felt bad for her. Honestly, I know she was with people that did the crime, so she obviously should be punished, right? But I really did feel bad for her.
You know, I'm glad you said that. Every youth that I see has a story.
That's right.
And the reason that I love this documentary is because it focuses on their story.
And their families.
And their families. And there's so many people that are in our communities that when they see on the news that a child has committed offense, they get angry with me if I don't immediately transfer them to the adult system. They want people to serve this time, but they don't know their story.
That's right.
They don't see the humanity in these
It was
people.
one that struck you that you were watching, Tamisha. That was the one that kind of struck you.
Tamisha Ferris.
Yes.
Yeah. Same one. I mean, she just looked like a baby to me.
Yes,
she did.
She also was involved in a killing of another 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Edgar Utley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she currently she was held on the documentary. She's being held in juvenile detention. She was getting into her plants, and she was saying these things remind me of my grandmother, and they just seem so innocent.
I think, and I agree with you on that. With that, they're creatives.
Yeah.
If they had the opportunities that
but
we
at the
have,
same time, they kill us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you
sorry.
fight that? The youth against the crime.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's hard. That's why we do have a weighing test that we have to consider. But what I focus on and what I ask my entire staff and our team to focus on is if we could do so much more early intervention, then we wouldn't have these many cases where we're torn about this baby having to go serve time in an adult system.
Yeah.
If we were able to work with the parents and say, your behaviors negatively affect your child's development.
Right.
That's right.
And how can we help you? Then we can make so much better of a difference.
I do think one of the things that I do like about, not that I want a kid or want to be in the juvenile detention center, but it does show that you guys do some normalization. Like they get their haircuts, they go to the gardens, they paint, Diamond was an artist. So you do kind of keep normal, like their youth. You kind of keep the innocence of it. Right. But then there's also where you have to keep children apart. And that was Terrence Williams, right? And Tristan Williams and Caleb Williams, who are not related, right? They just have the same last name. But you have to keep them apart, right?
They were beefing.
Yeah, they had beef. Do you see that a lot?
Unfortunately, we do. I mean, and when you think about, when you were 14, 15, 16,
right,
and what your conflict resolution skills were,
right,
they weren't that great.
Right.
They weren't as great as they are when
Absolutely.
now we're in our 30s,
right?
So it makes a difference, and we know how to think better.
I like how she said we were in our 30s.
We're in our 30s.
I love that. Right, we're in our 30s. Go ahead. Yeah.
But we've learned over time,
right,
that we can talk to one another about our beefs and try to work things out. When you're youth and when you're young, that part of your brain has not fully developed. And so literally
there's some adults that hadn't developed either.
There's some adults that hadn't developed
some adults that hadn't developed.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
One of the things I always laugh about is you know, I went to law school for a reason because I couldn't do medical school. I didn't, you know, none of that stuff I wanted to do whatsoever. And so I went to law school, but now I go around the country literally talking about brain development and the science behind it. And so what the science shows is that on average, our brains don't fully develop until we're about 25 years old. Okay. So you even think about the time we were in college and some of the things and troubles that we may have gotten into. Our brains weren't fully developed.
So I can use that as an excuse.
Absolutely.
Chance, don't you use that as an excuse. My son is 18.
I didn't know.
Don't use that as an excuse.
So that literally the last part of the brain that fully develops is the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
And that prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that helps you make decisions.
Wow.
And so when you look at Chance, or I look at my tray, you look at your and you say, what were you thinking when you did that? And they give you that blank stare.
Yeah.
Like,
I wasn't thinking.
It's actual true.
Wow.
Their prefrontal cortex has not fully developed, and they truly don't know why they do these decisions. Wow. And so what we also know about brain development is that if you're under 18 and your brain or your body goes through a significant amount of trauma, your brain develops differently.
Okay.
And it's called adverse childhood experiences. And the more trauma that you have in your life, the differently your brain develops, and it does not develop fully as if someone who does not go through that trauma.
Wow.
And so what we know is a child like Diamond who has parents that are incarcerated. There's drug and alcohol abuse. There's a brother that's incarcerated. There's other things that we learn about Diamond and the life that she unfortunately had to lead. All of that affected the way her brain developed.
Get out of here.
And so you're already on a normal child.
Right.
Your brain's not fully developed.
Right.
But then a child that has
trauma
and adverse childhood experiences, it's even worse. And so these kids that we see that are doing the risky behaviors, the behaviors that are very dangerous to the community and to themselves, those are the kids that need the love the most. Those are the kids that we have lost early on. And so as a juvenile court judge, we have the ability to have all kinds of cases dealing with youth from as little as 0 to 18. And we do parentage cases where we're working with parents who can't get along, who have been unmarried parents, and trying to help them to figure out how they can co-parent. We're working with youth and their parents who have neglected or abused them. And all of these things that we're working with are adverse childhood experiences.
So is all this funded by the federal government?
Our local government.
Okay.
It's all funded by local government.
And so what can people do to help?
Lots of stuff.
Okay.
Mentorship is key.
Okay.
I always talked about, we have like 86,000 students in our public schools, and maybe, additional 20-something thousand in private schools. And so if you think about the size of our youth in the community, it's like 100,000 plus or minus some. If each one of us adults took one child to mentor,
that's right,
and to feed back into, and to give, good skills and good learning how to deal with people and conflict resolution,
it would make a difference.
It would make a difference.
Right.
We don't do enough of that. We don't help each other.
That's right.
We don't reach out to one another. And in that process, you lose youth. And so, you're in your neighborhood and you see a family that's suffering. Maybe that there's some domestic violence going on in the household. And there's a child that's seeing this.
Yeah.
That child is being physically affected by the abuse of the parents.
Yeah.
And so we got to step in as good neighbors, good community people, as one another that love each other, and say, while y'all are going through this, why don't I take this child with me so that we can go to dinner or something, and help to remove that child from that situation and give them an out. We have a lot of programs in our community that do good work on supporting our youth and supporting those programs. And so you may not be comfortable doing your own mentorship, or you may not be the one that's
Yeah.
comfortable.
But there's other
stepping
things
in.
that you
But
can do.
There are so many organizations that you can support that can do the work and that are willing and ready to do the work.
Thank you so much.
Yes, this has been
This
eye-opening.
has been wonderful.
It
really has.
been.
Like, we can sit and talk all day.
Oh, we
honestly.
really could.
But we want to thank you so much for coming on the
thank you
show.
for having me.
The documentary is absolutely wonderful. You did a fantastic job in it. I was so proud of you.
She did.
Thank you,
amazing.
Sarah.
Yeah.
But it's Justice USA, guys. It's on Max. It's 6 episodes. Tune in.
Tune in.
sure.
All 6 episodes are available now, right?
They are. All
All
6
right.
members.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Judge.
you.
We
Thank
appreciate
you,
you.
It's an
Tiffany.
honor. Thank you so much.
Now we get popcorn.
Yes, we get
There we get popcorn.
Colonels, you heard that.